On today's show, somebody just came back from Walt Disney World. We have a few news stories that's coming up on Traveling with the Mouse. Welcome, everyone, to episode number 477. We are creeping ever closer to the epic number 500. Is it okay to use the word epic? Anyway, my name is John, as you probably know by my voice by now. I don't know. You may not recognize us by our voices yet. And I am joined by my lovely co-host, Adam.
What's up, everybody?
I actually did have feedback once before that suggested they weren't sure who was talking at which time, to be honest.
We sound too similar.
I don't think we sound that similar, though.
Do we sound
Maybe
NPR like?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's what it is. It sounds like we're on NPR. We're on the delicious dish.
I've had several people say that they like to listen to us right before they go to bed. Like, is that a compliment?
We put you to sleep.
Yeah, they say we have soothing voices. We are very soothing.
Yeah, we don't have unfortunately, we don't have a contrast here. Maybe I need to start speaking like Bobcat Goldthwait or something to kind of get the contrast in there.
Maybe.
Do you know who I'm talking about? You had this confused
I know who that is, but I'm like, is that? Yeah, I guess that would be contrasting.
You remember him?
Mm-hmm. I do. We don't need a deeper voice. We need,
we need
very wide. Okay.
Anyway,
different kind of going to bed sounds.
Different going to bed.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would you call my voice? I think I could do radio, right? I mean,
yeah. We sound like we do radio right now.
We could do NPR apparently.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Traffic news, weather, traffic news, traffic and weather coming up. Top of the hour.
Okay. Anyway, do we want to start with some news stories? I mean, we've got a couple of things.
We can, sure. There's a few things that came out recently.
Yeah, it's been still a little bit slow, apparently, which you didn't know when you were on your trip, that we're going to have a lot more time to experience dinosaurs than we originally thought. Because apparently it's going to be sometime in 2026 when it's going to close.
Right. Okay.
Which is weird because that was originally when we thought that
way longer.
That stuff like that was going to open, right?
Right.
Isn't that what they originally said, right? In that time frame?
26 or like 27, but I guess the Encanto area. Oh, well, we'll see if it does or not, but
maybe just part of it's going to open. It's going to open in phases.
Yeah, obviously they phased it out now because Indiana Jones will be pushed. Well, if they close everything now, you won't have anything to ride at Animal Kingdom.
True.
Outside of Pandora, except for Everest, Kali, and the Safari. That's it. So,
all right. Did we get? When does this have to be a bug closing?
Is there an exact date on that? I thought because I
don't recall seeing one.
Didn't they say? Yeah, that's true. They did not give us a date for the Zootopia show, did they? Other than at D23, they told us something.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to keep that open as a people eater again, too.
I guess.
But I was trying to say bye, Felicia Rashad from Dinosaur, but I guess I gotta wait longer.
A little premature.
Never
heard that before, Felicia. Right?
Yeah, but we have to wait another year now to say bye, Felicia.
So some of this we can probably get to in your trip report. So we're going to kind of...
Okay, so it says winter 2025, by the way, for Zootopia. So that is assuming that means December 2025.
It could.
Yeah.
It makes me think, though, how much time do they really need to convert that? Because they have to shoot a film first. Which I don't think would take that long.
You got to change the theming, right, and the characters and everything, right? That would take a while.
Think you. I mean, you could change. You got to change some things along there, but I don't think they're going to be able to change very much along that pathway to the theater, so to speak. And it's still they might change some of it.
Yeah, but the theater itself.
Yeah, but I really hope they don't because I like those carvings and stuff. I don't think they would change much there, right? So
hopefully they won't like change them into Zootopia characters.
Right.
Maybe some of them, but
I wouldn't put it past them, though, unfortunately, but
yeah,
we shall see.
maybe just some of them closer to the queue
Yeah,
area, maybe.
something like that.
But yeah, winter 2025, that was this is D23 announcement, so they haven't said anything since then, so I would imagine it would take more than a couple of months to do this, so it's gotta be late 2025 at this point.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So one story that's come out since our last episode, anyway, is that Destination D23 returns to Walt Disney World in 2025.
Yeah,
So we have that.
maybe we should go.
See, they have something. They're really going in on this something every year now. It seems like.
Yeah.
So
And they do make big announcements even at the Destination D23 one.
right,
But the bigger ones are always for the Disneyland area one, the
right, that happens every
2
other
years,
year.
yeah.
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 So it's like they have one in between. It's like this. It's like the Orlando one is like the primaries, and then
Yeah.
the
Right, like,
Disneyland
yeah,
one
the
is
big ones.
the presidential election, I guess. Oh, I
If you wanna compare those, yeah,
mean, that's
that
the
would be
only.
the
I don't know.
equivalent, yeah.
Yeah,
Or like the Olympics and the Winter Olympics.
yeah,
So,
that's a good one. Yeah,
the Summer Olympics is more,
something more
the
fun.
D23, and then the winter is, like, something to do every other 2 years, but
Yeah. Although lately the announcements have been like blue sky teaser,
yeah.
like you know what I mean?
Right.
Like how often has the official announcement turned out to be what actually takes place, right? So
Yeah. Well, it looks like at least they're finally starting to invest the money, so maybe we'll start to see it. It's gonna take years, though, before,
right.
it actually.
Like I think it's safe to say that Mary Poppins attraction is out the window now.
Which is sad because literally it's just now the 60th anniversary of it, and it would have been
Right.
nice to have an attraction
Something,
that
right.
you could
Yeah.
commemorate it with and celebrate it and have something there.
Unfortunately, I think not too many people even remember the sequel, I guess, that came out not too long ago. I mean, it didn't seem
Yeah,
to
it
stick
wasn't
with
as good.
it didn't seem to
Didn't
stick with people as much as you would think.
Yeah, it
So,
didn't quite have the same magic.
yeah.
But, yeah, just I watched that special on it ABC had, and yeah, it's great. It's
Yeah.
really a great film, and it holds up pretty
Mhm.
well today still. Even with
Exactly.
some of the special effects, I mean, some of them are pretty bad, but for the most part, for a movie that's 60 years old, that's pretty impressive still.
Speaking of film, something you got to see in between our last episodes was Moana 2, right? I haven't
Yes,
seen it yet.
yes.
My kids have seen it, though. My kids
Oh, yeah?
actually saw it with their aunt.
What'd they think?
I think they enjoyed it, but it doesn't surprise me that kids would enjoy it, though.
Right.
I feel like
I
adults
liked
have
it.
a tendency to be more critical when it comes
Right.
out. I don't know.
Sure.
I'll reserve my judgments. I don't know if I'm gonna see it since they've already seen it. If I'm gonna
Right.
see it before it's on Disney Plus, to be honest, so but
Yeah,
what do you think?
so I liked it a lot. It's not as good as the original, but it still was good. I enjoyed the story. There's definitely something in there that I think the adults caught on to that maybe the kids didn't necessarily. I don't think my kids caught on to it. There's kind of a pretty big event that happens that is not so subtle for the adults, but I had to ask other people. I was like, "That happened, right? That's you saw what I saw, right?" And so, yeah,
Really?
it's interesting that Lin-Manuel Miranda did not do the songs for this one. He was busy with, Mufasa, I believe, so it shows because the songs are not as good in this one. There's a couple that were pretty good, but it
Speaking of which, Mufasa looks
showed.
pretty good from what I've seen. I kinda like the idea of him growing up, like that story with Scar and everything, so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested in that one too, actually, yeah. I think that could be good, and of course, you know, Lin-Manuel doing the songs again,
So,
they're gonna be catchy, so.
just to address this, since you have seen it, without giving too much away, obviously, because it's
Yeah.
still out there, but one of the criticisms I've heard was trying to follow an actual story line. Did you have any trouble with that?
Well, I didn't think it was as strong of a storyline as the first one, but
Like, I think some people pointed to, can you tell that it was originally designed to be a series
it yes,
converted to a movie?
definitely felt that way, especially, halfway through the credits, they basically teased the 3rd movie or whatever they're gonna do next. Because and it did feel incomplete. It felt like, there should have been more, and it felt like,
So
they
it felt
probably
kind of
compressed some of it all into one to make a movie out of it, is what it felt like.
like a dead man's chest where it's obvious there's gonna be a 3.
Yes, totally. I mean, there was a lot that they left, and then they really teased, like, way more, and there was a lot of very underutilized characters that you're like, "Why
Yeah,
didn't
that
this
so
person
that
come back?" And then at the end, they did, and you're like, "Oh, I see, they're setting up something else." So it did leave that taste in your mouth, like,
see, I
they
feel like the
yeah,
introduction of the many new characters probably would have been similar to what they would do for a television series,
yeah.
truthfully. Kinda like
There
they've
was
done with some of these in the past, right?
right. There was one very mysterious character that is in there for a pretty short time, and it's like you're really intrigued by the character, and then you never see the person again. It's like, okay, and then the end credits, you see it again, and it's like, oh, okay, they're setting up something else. But
Gotcha,
yeah, for a theatrical movie, you wouldn't think they would do that. But
gotcha.
anyway,
Well, like I said, since my kids have seen it without me, it's not likely I'm gonna see it unless we just,
well,
decide
if
to
they
go.
want to see it again, yeah.
December's gonna be pretty busy for me though, so
Oh yeah,
as a matter
yeah.
of fact, at the moment of this recording, I am, preparing to leave tomorrow to go to the Christmas train in Bryson City. So
Oh yeah, well, the Polar
Polar
Express.
Express. You've been
Yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. I actually talked about it on this show back in the probably
That's right, you did,
probably
yeah.
the 200s. I don't even know when
It's been a
that
while
was
back.
several years ago.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
been a
even
while back,
before that.
but we're going to do that. So,
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a cute little town and
just
the
taking kind of an extended weekend to do it.
yeah, I was wondering how that city fared the hurricanes. I think it's probably too it's further west, so it probably was okay.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half south of the Pigeon Forge area, so we're actually gonna go up to there first and spend a little bit of time there before heading back to Bryson City, so
Yeah. Yeah, so it should be clear. We stayed in Asheville, North Carolina when we did it and drove the hour and a half to Bryson City from
uh
there, I think it was. And of course Asheville is like was decimated by the hurricane, so the flooding was horrible. So
One thing,
yeah.
last year, during Thanksgiving, right, we spent some time in Pigeon Forge, and that area, that they call the island is very well decorated during Christmas, so I really hope to go
Hmm.
look at
Yeah,
that
that'd be cool.
again. That's the area that also had that Soarin'-esque attraction, Skyfly, I think was what it's called. It's
Ah,
actually quite good. I think I showed it to you if I remember right, but anyway,
yes, you did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember.
yeah. Getting back on topic somewhat, in the news before we get to
Yeah.
your trip report.
Yep, yep, yep.
Disney has renamed Reflections to Disney's Lakeshore Lodge, and it's gonna open in 2027 at Fort Wilderness. What do we think about that? Sounds a little less like a rehab
Yeah,
facility than
right.
I guess.
I
So
guess
saying.
we're tired of the jokes, so they're like, we're just gonna try and change the name.
I swear I feel like they listen to our show.
Uh,
I really
yeah,
do.
they hear
Somebody
my
somebody
criticism.
somebody within that company regularly listens to our show.
Maybe they scour the podcast and pick up all the keywords and
They probably do,
listen to it.
'cause I almost feel
They,
like we've mentioned the whole Monsters, Inc. coaster idea before, and now they're doing it.
right.
We're probably not the only ones that's mentioned it though, but
Mm.
anyway.
So we really need to
See,
discuss certain
we really
things.
need
Yeah,
to start talking about things we want them to do for real.
right.
Um, I
Well,
mean
they would have brought Horizons back by now, so
right. If if that were doable. Oh, yeah, this is a story that, maybe we can touch on quickly before we can get to your stuff. The state of Florida requested changes to the Tropical America's permit. Did you see
hmm
that one?
I did.
It
And there
doesn't
was
really
an
specify what the changes are that I saw unless there's an update to this. Have you seen an update?
update saying that they got an extension on it,
Yeah, I saw that.
but yeah,
It
there
wasn't very
wasn't.
clear on what it was they wanted to change, what they wanted changed.
I think
So
if I remember right, it was just there was detail missing
really?
about like water management kind of stuff about how they're going to do that.
And if I remember right, there was something because one of Disney's what's the word I should use here? One of the things when they bought this land that they had to do was use so much of it for conservation, basically.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that came into play here. I thought when they built Animal Kingdom that was kind of clever because it helps them do kill two birds with one stone in a way.
Possibly,
But
yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
always thought. But maybe they didn't. Maybe the state of Florida didn't consider it that way. But
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
so
know. It's a good question if any of that has to do with it.
I feel like they're pushing some of this back, and unfortunately for Disney, it might be even later before they have some of these projects done than they originally anticipated.
Yeah, it's
So
definitely not moving as fast as Josh Tomorrow led us to believe back in
right,
August.
right.
That's for sure.
Although he didn't lie, the Earth has been moved. There's at least been a shovel stuck in the ground, and then he took it and
Yeah.
put it to the side at least once.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
so Earth has
exactly.
moved.
Right. So he didn't completely lie.
No,
Yeah,
from a certain point of view. Right.
exactly. I was waiting for that. Yeah.
Let's see. Test track scheduled to open late next year.
Yeah.
While Disney Imagineering is working together with General Motors to push innovation forward with this reimagined attraction, celebrating an evolution of mobility over the last 100 plus years while highlighting the past, present, and future. Work on this reimagined experience is already underway, which we can see. We've seen that. I guess you saw some of that on your trip, right? Or could you
Yeah,
see that?
I did.
Yeah.
I saw a little of it.
Okay.
But I see an update to that saying late summer.
Hmm. Okay. Late summer then.
So they changed the verbiage on.
Oh yeah, I do. It's like within it was the same day they changed the verbiage.
Right. So that could be September though, and was late summer. Technically September 20th, September 19th.
Yeah, I guess. What's the official first day of fall? Or they like technicalities.
Yeah, September 20th, 21st, something like that.
However, the
So
Spaceship Earth Lounge will open before summer, according to this.
yeah, okay.
So
Cool.
that's pretty easy.
Right. They're probably already working on that, right?
Yeah, it's probably
It's
almost
gotta
ready to
be.
go. That's got to be some sort of a corporate lounge that was just being converted, don't you think?
Yeah.
Which
I think
makes it,
that is what that is, right? Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not
So yeah.
necessarily looking forward to that one because I don't know. It just looks kind of like your typical lounge. Doesn't really look spectacular, and they're probably going to charge a lot because you could see the fireworks from there.
So also, the Walt Disney Company. This is good news for the shareholders. They declared in 2025 a cash dividend of $1 per share, which is up
Okay.
33%
That's pretty
over
high. Yeah.
last year. So there was a time period when I sold what little I had in the Walt Disney stock. I forgot when the time period was, but when I saw a certain trend, or on the horizon, I bought it again, and it
Yeah.
paid off pretty good.
Yeah.
And I like stocks with dividends. That's my thing. I like the fact that they're increasing that, so it might encourage me to buy a little more actually. So,
Yeah. That's the idea.
yep. Here's a point. This is out in Disneyland though, but here's a point of contention with some people.
Okay.
So the Walt Disney animatronic, right?
Right. Yes.
One of his relatives. What's her name? The one that's always stirring stuff up. I can't think of her name. I feel like she's always the
Yeah.
one having a bone of
I know
contention
who
with.
you're talking about, but yeah, I can't remember at the
I
moment.
think it's actually his
Mm.
niece, right? And
Mhm.
I think it's Roy's family.
Yes. I think so. Yeah.
So there is people saying that Walt never wanted an animatronic of himself and that he was pretty adamant about it while he was still alive.
Right. Same with statues, which we have those. So he
Right.
didn't want
So there's kind
statues of
of
himself either.
that's probably out the window right now.
Right.
Tomorrow took Walt Disney's great nephew Roy P. Disney to Walt Disney Imagineering to show off the progress that the team was making on the project. In a new report from the OC Register, a Disney spokesperson offered this statement. Creating an audio animatronic figure of Walt Disney is an enormous responsibility and one that we take incredibly serious. We are bringing the same care, research, and respect to Walt Disney as Walt himself did when he advanced the technology he pioneered by creating Abraham Lincoln figure for the 1964 New York World's Fair, and ultimately great moments with Mr. Lincoln at Disneyland Resort. We continue to push the art form and technology in every way possible to ensure that this tribute is done right. That's the way they put it.
Sure. It's time to do this probably because it's been almost 60 years since he died. So very few people are still alive that remember him, aside from like Dick Van Dyke and Bob Gurr, maybe.
Oh, you mean that actually remember interacting with him?
Right. The
I mean,
real human
yeah.
Walt.
Obviously, because of what his company has become and everybody's going to know who he is probably for a really long time,
Yeah.
for
And
many years to come.
this will probably be one of the most advanced animatronics that we'll ever see. Human-like animatronics, I should say. So I think they're going to do a good job with this. I don't feel concerned about it.
So here's a couple of comments from other family members. I think his granddaughter thinks that Walt would have been fascinated by how far the technology has come and would have been enthusiastic about the project.
If it looks very lifelike and really like spot on, if it looks like Hall of Presidents, like it's not going to go over well. But if it looks really, lifelike and like him and advanced for even what we've seen, then I think it's going to be great. It's going to go over very well. So we'll see.
So on the flip side, Joanna Miller, which is Walt's granddaughter, has gone on record of saying the idea of a robotic grandpa to give the public a feeling of who the living man was just makes no sense. It would be an imposter. They are dehumanizing him. People are not replaceable. That's the way she feels about it. So,
but aren't they basically going to use his own recordings? Like they're not going to try to AI his voice and make a new show. They're going to like combine like clips of him talking about Disneyland or Epcot or something. I don't know, whatever they're going to do.
well, this is one of those things that I'm going to reserve my judgments until it's there.
Yeah. I think this is going to end up being really good, I think, but that's just my opinion.
We'll see.
That is, if you want my opinion.
Okay, John Wing. Talking about using a closed attraction.
All right. Indeed.
I think that's pretty much all that I really want to. I mean, of course, we got Disneyland's 70th anniversary. That's this year, correct?
Right. Which is the Walt is debuting at the start of that. That's kicking it off, essentially.
It's supposed to be May 16th, but July what was it? Was it 15th, 14th? What was it? July 14th? I can't remember.
July 17th.
17th. That's what it was. Okay. I can't believe I couldn't remember that.
Yeah.
I remember Walt Disney World easily.
Well, yeah, that one.
Of course, it's the first day of the month, so it probably helps.
But yeah, so 2025, 1955, yeah. Crazy how 70 years goes by. Seems like only yesterday.
Should they be planning for the 100th anniversary already?
Yeah, need to get ready.
Unless, of course, California's part of the ocean by then. Who knows?
Could be.
Or at least that part
of California. Yeah.
All right. And make that George Strait song a reality. Oceanfront property in Arizona. Anyway.
Right. Otisburg. Anyway.
Right. But like, my mother lives in Hackensack.
Nobody saw that because it's the audio. But
right. If you've seen the movie, you know what we did. Anyway.
Yes.
All right. So I think we're at a healthy point to start going into your trip report.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
To try to keep it from being
a play-by-play.
Yeah, like a repeat. I'm glad you took the time to kind of break down the highlights.
I did, yeah. I broke it into categories of things to kind of talk about. And the first is Christmas festivities. That's kind of what I call it, because this is becoming one of my favorite times of the year to go is the Christmas season, because it's one of the few things that gets you really in the Christmas. It's very Christmassy and it gets you in the mood, if that makes sense, of course, or the holidays in general. And I was thinking about this too, Magic Kingdom because of the Christmas party, they started putting a lot of the major Christmas stuff behind a paywall unless you go during Christmas week. So you don't get the parade, you don't get the fireworks, or some of the Christmas stuff is exclusive to the party. Whereas Epcot is almost like the Christmas park now, or the holidays park now, because Festival of the Holidays, Candlelight Processional, you almost have more Christmassy stuff to do that you don't have to pay extra for, aside from buying the food and, whatever. But so it just made me think about that. Epcot is kind of the Christmas park for me now, unless you're going to spend the extra money because, obviously Jollywood at Hollywood Studios, another paywall in terms of you have to pay more to get to experience the extra Christmassy goodness that the park has to offer.
But you didn't do Jollywood while you were there, right?
No, nor the Christmas party, which I had thought about it. It was sold out before I decided whether or not I could do it or not. But it would have been like $800 for my
Oh,
family
dang.
to do it.
Wow.
So that's why.
Well, I only brought Jollywood up in that sense because I have heard that they made some improvements. Like they listened to the criticisms from the previous year.
Yeah.
So,
And we'll hear about it. I mean, we know somebody who's going to be there for the Jollywood, so we'll hear about it one way or the other. So we'll know what he thought of it. But anyway, so yeah, Festival of Holidays is one of my favorite festivals. It is pretty dessert heavy, but there are some really good items that aren't desserts. So there's not as much as, say, Flower and Garden or Food and Wine, even Festival of the Arts, but I actually think they did a pretty good job of using Communicore Hall for this festival because they have the big gingerbread Spaceship Earth
cool.
gingerbread
Yeah.
house that was debuted there. And of course, for $10, you can buy dried up shingle that doesn't taste very good for $10. Yeah.
It didn't actually come off of the.
Right, exactly. And they are not good. So just like the Grand Floridians
It's a gimmick.
shingles, they're not good gingerbread. So
It's a gimmick, and I'm sure they'll sell plenty of them.
they sure do. But then the festival favorites or whatever booth that's connected to Communicore Hall has the favorites of Festival Pass. So they had like stuff that they had in the past that were popular. Those like little ham sandwiches. Whatever, I don't remember. They were really good though.
Did you say ham or hand?
Ham.
Oh, okay.
Han. Still a chance to save Han. Yeah, so that was good. Anyway, Festival Holidays, love it. Candlelight Processional. This was my first time actually like doing the dining package and sitting in the audience to see the whole thing. And mainly because Josh Gad was going to be there and I knew he would be good. So aside from probably Neil Patrick Harris, he would be the one I would go to.
You like hearing it from Olaf. Okay.
Yes. And he was great. Fantastic, by the way. He basically kicked it off this year. Made some good jokes and,
I'm still waiting on the invitation for us to do it.
All right. Yeah.
Our voices apparently are.
Yeah.
fit
Why
for it.
couldn't we do it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Totally could. Yeah. But I think some people, probably take it more seriously. And, Josh Gad would, he's obviously a big Disney fan. So he made jokes like it was cold because the weather was very chilly. And he made a joke that, this jacket doesn't fit. They took it off for one of the presidents on Hall of Presidents just so he'd have a jacket to wear. And then he said she was like wearing Theodore Roosevelt's jacket. It's like just random stuff like that.
Did you happen to see him outside of the Candlelight Processional? Because apparently he went and visited Muppets from what I
Right,
saw.
yeah, he did, and he also he posted about, Figment, about they need to update the ride. He was at Animal Kingdom the day that day he did that, and he came from Animal Kingdom to Epcot for that. We saw him walking in, like they walked him in from,
Oh, really?
to go backstage. We saw
Cool.
him bring him in, but Yeah, that was as close as we got to him.
You had an
But
entourage?
yeah, he did. He did. It's a 45-minute show, so, the kid my youngest son fell asleep he was, like, sleeping on our laps the whole show just about. But
Oh,
my
wow.
older son liked it because he's in chorus now at his school,
Okay. Cool.
and so it was cool for him to see, and Voices of Liberty, of course, does the main. It's fantastic, so I highly recommend it. Given the host, I think the host really makes a difference. I think I would make the effort to go see Neil Patrick Harris because he's definitely the favorite, of course. So,
What was the temp like out there that night?
gosh, it was probably in the 50s that night, and it was
Okay.
windy,
Oh,
so
which
it
in
was
Florida
cold.
equals cold, yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
felt very cold that night.
yeah.
There was a few nights where it was very chilly.
I don't know what it is about that area, but 50 feels way worse than it does here. I don't know what it
Yeah, it
is.
does. Yeah, it's like today here it's very cold, but I was like, this feels like Disney did last week, and that was like 20 degrees warmer than it was today. But
Right. Yeah, it's about it. I can't explain it. Maybe it's the humidity. That's one thing
yeah,
I can
so
or
yeah,
the moisture.
there were a couple of Christmas attractions that do overlays that I enjoyed. Of course, Jingle Cruise at Magic Kingdom is a lot of fun. So we made a point to do that. That's one you don't have to do for the party. So like, Tomorrowland Speedway, Space Mountain, they do Christmas overlays, but they're party exclusives. So you have to
Right.
pay the Christmas party to get those. But Jingle Cruise is Jingle Cruise. Thankfully, they don't make that a party only thing. I
Careful.
don't know how they would. Right. Well,
Tread lightly.
yeah, exactly. I mean, could, but anyway, it's fun. The other one, though, glimmering greenhouses at the land. They have all the lights, and of course, I made a point to wait till sunset to ride that, and that was fun. It's cool to see all the lights lit up, and just adds a little something to the land, which I already love.
Mhm.
So gives a little extra.
Yeah, I
That's
feel like
kind of
they've
fun.
added to that one over the years. They didn't do, overlays with that one initially, right?
Yeah, it's like a thing now.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember seeing something when was the last time I was there during the holiday season? I guess it was 2020, actually. I remember seeing something
Mm,
then in it. So, but
yeah.
I just feel like they've kind of made it more of a thing since then.
Right. Yeah,
So,
it's like more prominent now, and it's
yeah.
definitely was very popular because it was tough to get a lightning lane for that last few hours of the day, and it was probably a 45-minute wait at like 6:30 p.m. or whatever it was when we did it. So yeah, definitely a lot of people knew about it and were trying to get in after
Mhm.
dark.
Interesting.
Let's see. Yeah, I was gonna mention, speaking of Epcot, my favorite, because they do the cookie stroll at festival holidays. My absolute favorite, and I want to figure out how to make this cookie at home. It was a coffee cookie at the Hawaii, and it was so good. I'll have a picture of it. It was amazing. So that was my favorite by far. It was not dry. Like most of the cookies are really dry and, because they, are sitting out all day or they have to make them last and they're not the best, but that one was amazing. The other thing I was going to talk about was merch because, the Figment sweater is available for sale this year and I almost bought it, but it's like $75. And I just couldn't make myself spend that much on a Figment sweater since it's Figment. Like the ride,
She's like your least favorite character.
I, like I love the sweater because I think that's like the only. Essentially, it's a Christmas overlay that for two scenes of that ride. And the
Just
sweater,
had
it's an okay looking sweater, but I'm just like I'm not paying $75 for this. Like they're overpriced, but a lot of people were wearing it around. You could see it. Yeah, I just couldn't make myself do it. I bought this one, which is Festival of the Holidays
nice.
hoodie,
Yeah.
which I think this one was even like $60 or something like that. So even with a discount of 20% off, it's still like, it's not cheap.
It's disflation.
exactly, right, and that's what I was gonna talk about was everything merch-wise was just way overpriced. I don't know. Shirts are, like, now $35 minimum, a T-shirt, and the hoodies and stuff like that are 65, 85, depending on what it is. So it's like, is it really that, like, a shirt that I'm gonna wear
Yeah, it feels like
a
the only
month of the
difference
year?
between the, Chapek era and the second Iger era is the what he speaks in public is more palatable.
I guess, yeah.
That's about the only difference I see.
Right.
I mean, anyway, continue.
Well, so, Candlelight Processional too, to mention that is to do, the best way to get seating is to do the dining package because I'd say 3/4 of the theater is filled with the dining package, and if you stand by, there's about a quarter of the seats that you can get. So you either have to wait in line for 2, 3 hours, especially if it's someone popular. We did Spice Road Table for our lunch, and it was like $200 for the
Spice
4 of
Road
us.
table. Was it worth
Yeah.
it?
It was delicious, by the way. I thought
Okay.
it was
I never eaten
amazing,
there.
though. Yeah, I was surprised how good it was. But again, because it was candlelight, it was a price fixed thing, and I think it was like $60 per adult. But it was also a ton of food, and we couldn't eat it all. It was so much food, and I think somewhat worth it to see candlelight for someone you really wanna see. It's worth it because otherwise you're gonna have to stand in line for hours to get a seat, any seat, so thought
Right.
it was worth it.
What'd you get at Spice Road table right quick?
Well, you got a choice. There was an assortment of things. So the best thing was the cauliflower. It was so good. I can't remember exactly. I wish I could look up. But then, we got like chicken skewers and, of course, the hummus platter. I don't know that they have. Gosh, it was so many things. Now I'm blanking on what all we got, but it was really good. I would definitely go back there normally because it wouldn't be nearly that much. And of course, for dessert, there had like an assortment of things, but baklava, which the baklava there is very good. I love baklava.
Did you get a
Um,
little more
yes, I
baklava?
did. I got all of column A or whatever. And you got a drink with it, non-alcoholic, and I think we all got like the mint tea, which of course was really good. Yeah, it was delicious. Okay, moving on though. Next, speaking of food though, it says I did talk about that. Spice Road Table, we did do satuli for breakfast, which was really
Okay.
good. We basically tried everything except for like the steak and egg one or whatever. But the French toast basically was like a Cinnabon,
Hmm.
deconstructed Cinnabon is what it tasted like to me. The kids kind of ate that one.
So you didn't try the steak and egg one. So is it actual steak and egg, or did they do some sort of a
Um,
Pandora spin on it?
Basically, yeah, but it was like a steak.
Okay.
That was the one nobody really wanted.
Okay.
The potato hash, my wife ate that most of that one, and then I did because I like doing, like, overnight oats kind of yogurt granola thing,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and that was really good. Even the Banshee, tea thing that you mentioned, was basically honey. It was really good. So,
So they're is sweet. Okay.
yes, I highly recommend, Satuli for
They
breakfast. They
have
give you
diabetes.
yes, they must, yeah.
Anyway.
But they give you mugs to drink coffee out of,
Oh,
which is
really?
pretty cool. Instead of to go, well, you probably could have got to go cups, but I thought that was cool too.
One of the things I remembered at my last trip to Satuli was that it's one of the few places in Walt Disney World in which you can get Mr. Pibb.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. And this is one of the few places where they don't have the RFIDs yet on the cups.
Are you
So
serious? I thought that
yeah,
was everywhere.
they don't there at Satuli. So if you get a
Hmm.
cup of water, you could technically get anything.
You know, that reminds me of a story we didn't, mention earlier about how they're bringing in an AI,
Oh, yes.
ordering to, was it All-Star Sports, was it, or was it movies? It was one of the
Yeah.
All-Star.
What was it sports? I don't remember, but yeah,
I think it
I
was
did see
sports.
that story.
Yeah, anyway, I wanna see what that's like, actually. for an AI experience, self-checkout experience.
Right. So it was the frittata and beef. That was the one we didn't get. It was vegetable goat cheese frittata with wood-fired beef and toasted chimichurri. Toasted chimichurri. That's the one we didn't get. But the other three, French toast was probably my least favorite out of those. And the pork shoulder potato hash was delicious. And the tropical Pandorian forest fruits with yogurt and honey was delicious too. So anyway, we also did Nomad Lounge for lunch that day, right before we left. And one thing that was a theme here that we noticed was because the weather had turned cold, we couldn't find anything hot to drink. Like very few hot drinks other than coffee and tea, right? If you wanted, say, something with alcohol in it. Unless you went to a full service bar and got them to just put something in there.
What a hottie toddy.
Yeah, exactly. Or a cider, like, so at Festival of the Holidays, Canada, the popcorn cart has like a hot toddy, but that's like the only place we could find one. But the Mustang coffee at Nomad Lounge, though, is a hot drink, and it is really good. It was perfect on that day. It was another chilly afternoon.
What's it called again?
Mustang coffee.
Hmm.
And the server called it Mustang, but it was spelled Mustang coffee.
And that was a Nomad. Okay.
Nomad, yeah. Delicious. Like, I was like, this was really good.
Have you ever tried the Black Rifle coffee, by the way?
I don't think so. Black Rifle?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not
Brand?
Disney, but I was just talking about in general.
I don't
That
think so.
brand of coffee it's really good. I enjoy it. It's one of my favorites now. Anyway, continue.
Okay, so the Mustang coffee is Crown Royal, brown sugar, and butter with hot coffee.
Oh, okay.
And they basically melt like a little pat of butter on the top, and you can taste. It was delicious. Anyway,
I may have to try that.
Yeah, I gotta try that at home. Actually, now that I think about it. Anyway, so the last thing, of course, to talk about food-wise is La Cava. Of course, we went to La Cava and saw Barbas, our friend of the show.
Oh, your picture.
Yep. And yeah, it was just great to see him. We interviewed him several episodes back. If you want to hear that, he had a mezcal for me to try. We had talked about that on the episode. There was one that he had recommended. Can't remember the name of it at the moment, but anyway, La Cava, always a favorite. They have a Christmas drink at La Cava too, the spiked horchata.
I've had the horchata, the regular one before, actually. It was one of the ones.
Yeah. It just kind of like put some cinnamon and some spices in it. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's nothing special.
Yeah. Love La Cava. Love the folks there. So it's always good. Multipass. I did want to talk a little bit about Multipass. This is my first experience with, booking in advance and, getting it. We saw there was a news story that obviously just came out because Christmas week pricing just came out and it's capped currently at $39. $29 was the most I paid for Magic Kingdom. And there's a couple of things I like better about it than Genie Plus. And then there's a few things I wish it had that Genie Plus had. So I kind of missed some things and I kind of like other
Like the
things.
ability to stack.
Yeah, that's the biggest one is because our first day was going to be a half day at Hollywood Studios. So with Genie Plus, I would have stacked everything up and been ready to go as soon as we got there. But I had to pre-book 3 things in different tiers and hope to pull everything after, 3 p.m. when we arrived from 3 to 9:30 or 9. I think it closed at 9. So that 6-hour gap, 6-hour window, I had to get basically all the tier 1s and I did it, but it was a lot of work. So
Yeah.
it's
You had to waste
doable.
time looking at your phone.
Right. I had to sit there while we were eating dinner or at baseline and just like refresh until, something popped up, But I was able to get everything: Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster,
They're gonna be like, "But Adam, you could have avoided this for
Right.
the low
Oh,
price of what?"
yeah.
What was
It
it that
was
day?
$1,400 if I did the premiere, and
Right.
I think I paid like 118 or something for my family
Total?
for
Right.
the multipass. I keep forgetting what it's called. Multipass. So for the $1,300 I saved, I still did everything. I just had
Right.
to work a little harder at it.
Right.
The only thing we didn't do was everyone was too tired to do rides at the end of the day. Like, I was still like, we could go jump in line, but everybody was like, and it was
And
kinda
Rise
raining that night too, but
and in a way, Rise has kinda fallen from grace at this point too, so
yeah. It's not worth the $25 single pass, that's for sure, that they were charging.
yeah.
So just to talk about they call it a loophole right now, but the best thing about multipass is with Genie Plus, if you wanted to do the park hopping, you had to pay the same price as Magic Kingdom. But if you have a park hopper ticket already and you buy the cheapest, which would probably be Animal Kingdom, you can park hop and get lightning lanes at other parks by paying the lower price. So technically, you could buy Animal Kingdom. You have to go to Animal Kingdom, book or check into one ride, but then you could go to the other parks and use multipass for that day without having to pay the
Right.
price of that park. I don't who knows when they'll close that loophole, because I'm sure they will once they realize there's money on the table that they're leaving.
Especially since you've mentioned it now. I mean,
Well,
come on.
sorry, yes. But it's known. Um,
Hopefully, I'm gonna say, hopefully, it might become more obvious when, like, every day some people start at Animal Kingdom and then
right, yeah.
opt for this.
Rope drop at Animal Kingdom is real busy, and then everyone leaves. But
There's
yeah,
this mass exodus, like, an hour later.
right, exactly. Yeah, because that's kinda well, it's kinda how Animal Kingdom is anyway, if you're gonna try and do
Well,
rides.
yeah, but I feel like most people don't think about that, to be honest. Let's just be honest, the average guest doesn't.
Yeah, and
Not
yeah, right, I don't think Disney publicized that, but it's like if you know it, you know it.
right,
So I actually didn't know that until
right,
I
so
got
thanks a
there,
lot, Adam.
right? But then I looked it up and, like, everyone is talking about it, so,
Right. Yeah, but
thank
not on this podcast. We just
well,
got it out of our mouths, what happens?
so next week it'll be Disney closes loophole on right, anyway.
Could have at least given me to January. I mean, come on.
But really the only time we did that was the day I paid for Magic Kingdom anyway, because it was a party day and the party was sold out, but we left Magic Kingdom at like 4 o'clock and hopped over to Epcot, and I was able to get lightning lanes there. The only one I had trouble with, believe it or not, was Ratatouille. That was the only one I kept missing it. Every time it showed
Huh.
up, I couldn't book it. It just wouldn't let me. But that was the only one.
You know, they're doing a single rider there now, or they were
Yeah.
testing anyway.
Yeah. We ended up waiting until kind of the last hour, and we just did standby, and it was about 30 minutes. So I think it was actually 35 minutes. That was the longest we waited for anything.
It's about as long as you had to wait back when they had it by, boarding group, actually.
Right. Well, kind of, yeah, when you had to
And
do
then
the
when it was brand new
background.
anyway.
Right. Yeah. But that was the only
Well,
standby we did, really, for the most part.
okay.
So overall, I don't hate it. I can get used to it. I don't love the tier system, but if you show up early, I mean, the other good thing about it is, I think that's different than FastPass Plus is as soon as you tap into the first ride, regardless of what tier it is, the tier system goes out the window after that. You don't
So
have to worry
the
about,
tier system is only good initially.
yeah, for the pre-booking, you have to go by the tiers, but as soon as you get there and you tap into anything, then it doesn't matter. You can book any tier after that. So I like that.
So if you're not going at a particularly busy time, don't even bother pre-booking.
I guess. I mean, I think it's helpful though if you're gonna try and show up early to book something early so that you can tap into something rather than, oh, our first lightning lane is not till 11 a.m. because nothing else was available. You know,
Do
it's
you really
better to
think you're gonna have that problem, though?
not really. I mean, I would say, yeah,
You
not at
find
any of the
something.
parks.
You can always find something that you can
Yeah,
get a lightning for early.
right.
Maybe it might be something you don't
Yeah.
need one for, though. That's the thing.
I think the other thing that I don't like about the pre-booking, like Genie Plus let you overlap everything. And with the multi-pass pre-booking anyway, it doesn't let you overlap plans. So like the Animal Kingdom day, I waited till the last minute to buy Animal Kingdom because I wasn't sure if we needed it. And I was like, yeah, let's just do it anyway because they want to ride all like Everest and everything. And so the day before, I mean, I bought it, and then it wouldn't let me overlap the times. I had to like 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, you know. But once you got there, you could move them around. But anyway,
Right.
so it's not the worst thing ever. I'm glad that at least the pricing structure up to this point, knock knock, has not surpassed Genie Plus. So that was one good thing so far.
So as far as Disney's line skipping system, where does this rank in the history?
Um, I think it's better than FastPass Plus, aside from the part you're having to pay for it. If you take the price part out of it, obviously FastPass was the best one because it was free. But if you don't factor that in, I think Genie Plus actually was probably the best overall because it was more of a level playing field and but all the stacking was great. So it's probably close second to Genie Plus, I would say, even though I don't you don't have to get up at 7 a.m. in the morning a day of
Yeah.
to do it, but
Yeah, but I feel like even though I know they got some complaints about the pre-booking, I don't think adding 7 days really makes that much of a difference. And I feel like it was better, like you said, even playing field when it was same day.
yeah,
That's just
right.
my
The only thing the fact that you can hold 3 at one time at all times is pretty nice, especially if you're at Magic Kingdom, because you can kinda be planning ahead.
Wasn't that the way
And
it was with FastPass Plus?
yeah, it was. Well,
Okay.
actually, and it wasn't because you could have 3 initially,
Actually, you could still hold 3 because as soon as you burn the first one, you could get another one.
but I think after a certain point, you would just get down to pulling 1 at a time with FastPass
And
Plus.
pulling one at a time was fine, though.
Right. But I think with this one that I like about it is you can hold 3 at all times. Of course, at parks like Hollywood Studios and Epcot, it doesn't really help you because you'll run out of attractions. But with Magic Kingdom, to be able to hold 3 at all times is kind of nice. But
Except
anyway,
for there's only so many of those attractions you actually need it for.
yeah, but it's nice though, like even for like Small World, you're like, well, I can go ahead and pull Small World now because I don't have to wait until we tap into anything else. I can just go ahead and get another one. Yeah. So I like it, but I don't love it. There's a few things that I wish were a little better, but
Gotcha.
anyway. The last thing to kind of breeze through is goodbyes and hellos. I said goodbye to a few things, even though I didn't need to yet, like dinosaur. Has it been documented that the dinosaur that is eating the other dinosaur is like completely gone now?
The dinosaur that's eating the other
Yeah,
dinosaurs?
in the beginning, like one of the early scenes, it was the dinosaur eating the other one that was
Oh, is he gone? Oh, I know what you're talking about. He's not there at all right now?
completely gone. Like I never saw it at
Is
all.
he gonna be gone for the next year, or is it just
Probably
that's
because it
crazy.
wasn't working right for
No.
forever. But
Yeah.
it was completely gone, not even there. Like, I didn't even see it. So,
Was the Carnotaur working for you?
yeah, yes.
All of
There
them?
was
Even the running one? You don't remember, do you?
the running one.
Like the one that would chase you, actually. The Carnotaur, you don't
Oh,
remember
yeah,
that?
it wasn't.
Has it been that long since it's worked that you don't
Yeah,
remember?
it wasn't. Yeah. I don't think they're gonna fix any of it. They're just
Well,
gonna,
yeah, for
well,
why?
what's the point, right?
Except for the fact that it's gonna be a whole other year.
Right.
Unless it completely breaks down. Then I
Well,
guess they got no
maybe.
choice.
Maybe. We did say goodbye to Triceratops Spin. I was actually not going to write it, but my youngest wanted to because I was like just joking about, oh, say goodbye to this now while you can. He's like, well, I want to write it again. And so we actually waited 10 minutes to ride Triceratops Spin.
Yeah, I've probably already said my goodbyes like 2 years ago,
Yeah,
so
right. Yeah. So we wrote it. It was, not great, but we wrote it.
maybe Restaurantosaurus. Maybe I'll say goodbye to
You
Restaurantosaurus.
could. Yeah, why not? But yeah, it'll be closed. Is it right after you go? It
Actually,
closes?
it might close before I go, now that I think about it, so
Yeah, it's like
maybe I won't have it then.
mid-January, I think. I
Yeah.
forgot the exact date now, but anyway.
My first day there is the 17th, I think, So
Oh, I think actually it might be like the 11th or 12th or 13th or something like that is when it closes. So
yeah,
anyway, Triceratops in that horrible area of Dinoland is closing. So we said goodbye to it. Rivers of
no problem.
America wasn't sure. So, but we did ride Big Thunder because it's closing, and you can already see their staging stuff right next to it. Of course, we talked about that recently. There was no big tarp up, but you could clearly see backstage everywhere. So they're getting ready to do a lot to that area. Rock and Roller Coaster, it was a first for my oldest son. He got to ride it for the first time, so it was fun for him. It was a cool experience to like kind of talk him through it. It was his first upside down coaster. So it
First and
was,
possibly last.
well, could be, although who knows when that was gonna
Right.
convert. It doesn't seem like anytime soon. Isn't the contract with Aerosmith up sometime in 2025? I guess it would be July. So maybe,
Yeah, one can only assume.
maybe it'll be July before this closes. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure Disney will be glad to not have to pay royalties.
possibly. Lastly, though, Country Bear Musical Jamboree, I got to do it. My family liked it better than the original.
Really, everybody but you?
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's good. They clearly did a lot of work on the animatronics and got them working better. They didn't sound, you could hear the ones on the wall like clicking and clacking and creaking, and now they sound great. Like the show sounds so much better than it did when it was the original. So they've improved it.
There's at least one song you
Yeah,
can still
the
from the
walking out. Yeah, and the show flows pretty well, and it was entertaining. I still enjoyed it. So even though the voices are all kind of different, that kind of sucked. But in general, it's a good show. So I'm glad they did it. I like what they did to the pre-show, the waiting area. Like it added some cool little
Mhm.
details. So yeah, it's a decent replacement. I'm glad they didn't get rid of it. So
Is it attracting more people than the previous show?
I think it still is. Like it wasn't a completely full theater. It was probably 3/4 full, maybe, or a little over half, 2/3,
So for now,
3/4, something like that. Yeah, it was. I think it is. I just wish they had merch, like more merch. I still didn't see any real merch for Country Bear, but anyway, if they did, it would be a $75 shirt or whatever. But anyway, so that's pretty much it.
that's the trip in a nutshell.
Yep. I'll be back for the marathon weekend.
So that's before mine still. So you'll be back
Like
again
the week
before mine.
before, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'll be there marathon. They released the map that I'll be doing. It's a little different than the 2024 one in that Magic Kingdom is kind of reversed. So we get to go from the Grand Floridian side to the front
Okay.
gate and then go around. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think I'm ready for it, but I'll get
So
through it.
you decided to not talk about your experience at the Friar's Nook here.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'd forgotten about that actually. It was a
You
terrible,
tried
oh
to
my
block that out of
gosh.
your mind.
Yes, I did. It was mobile order that should have taken 5 minutes. It took like 35 minutes. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then later that same day, Columbia Harbor House, like no wait at all. It was immediate. Like it was super fast.
There you go.
So you lose one, you win another. So you win some, you lose some. Yeah, Friar's Nook was terrible. Absolutely terrible. So,
Okay.
but mobile order in general is kind of dicey. You just never know if it's going to take forever or if it's going to be 5 minutes or less,
Right.
But anyway, good stuff. We had a great time. Gets
All
you in
right.
the holiday spirit.
Cool. So I guess that wraps up this week. If you would like to, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That is all at TWTM. I said Twitter, didn't I? I meant X. That is all at TWTM Podcast. We have a Spreadshirt store still, in which you can get your exclusive TWTM merchandise. That is
For a
shop.
lot less than Disney prices. Sorry.
Oh, wait. Yeah. That is shop.spreadshirt.com/TWTM Podcast. We also have a YouTube channel, And where can you find links to that, Adam?
Our website, travelingwiththemouse.com, podcast at travelingwiththemouse.com is the email address. So check us out there.
So for Adam, my name is John. This has been Traveling with the Mouse, and we hope you will join us on our next trip.